So this is how we drove around $1.5 million in leads for a small UK-based travel agency. I'm going to show you behind the scenes exactly how we did it, what the strategies were with Google Ads and Facebook ads. So just to initially discuss the business model, the business is called Flock Events. They plan hen parties, which is bachelorette parties in the US. So basically, before people get married, before women get married, they go off and they have a party with all their friends. They rent a nice holiday home within the UK and they'll do all sorts of activities as well. There's usually 15 to 30 people, typically stay over the weekend, 2 to 3 nights, and book out like a private chef. They'll do all sorts of fun activities and games. And Flock acts as a travel agency. So they act as a travel agency and take a cut. So take a cut of the commission on the holiday home itself. They work with homeowners, holiday homeowners across the UK, and then they'll also provide they'll do all of the bookings for the activities, arrange transport, arrange everything. So that's how the business model works, and Flock take a cut. So it's the traditional travel agency model for this very specific type of trip. And you can see the website here. One of the biggest benefits for hiring a company like Flock is that, say you have 30 people going on a trip, you can set up payments automatically. So instead of one person arranging and getting payments off all of your friends for this trip, you can just completely automate it. So that is a big benefit to going with Flock. The financials. So there's an average order value of £1,049, gross margins of 48%, and that leaves a average profit per order of £500. So for every booking, group booking, there's a profit of approximately £500. The goal was simple initially. It was, we know that we're making £500 profit on the back end. Can we acquire a new customer for £120? That would give us a ROAS of 833%. Sorry, just going to go back there. And ROI after costs of 416%. So it's like a 4x return, basically. After costs, that's after advertising costs, their staff costs, etc. We ended up acquiring customers for just £23.10 each. So the goal was 120. We got the customers for 23.10. So that was an ROI of 2000%. That's huge. It means that for every £1 that we spent on ads, we made £20 profit. So it was a very good return there. So I'm going to get into the Google Ads account now and just talk a little bit about the strategy behind the scenes. So this is just data from the last couple of months. You can see there was around 1,800 conversions. That isn't paying customers. We'll get to that in a minute. The bid strategy right now is still maximize conversions. We started off with a manual cost per click. We moved over to maximize conversions with a target CPA once we had enough data in the ads account. And a conversion rate of 10%, which is really strong. 10% is unusual for a travel company. If you had something like a car dealership, or sorry, not a car dealership, a car garage for repairs, whereas you urgently need to get your car repaired, 10 to 20% might be within the realms of possibility. For travel, where people are a little bit more slow and methodical, 10% is really high. The keyword strategy was exact match. So we're still using an exact match keyword strategy with negative keywords added in there, just as we see them as we go along. So these are things like hen party houses, Scotland, hen party houses, Bath, Bristol, some specific locations within the UK as well. And then also just generic searches, hen party cottages. And then once they land on the website, we direct them to the properties and locations. UK is a small place, so usually people are open to traveling, and only takes about an hour to get from London up to Scotland or vice versa. So yeah. So the conversion data for a business like this, you are basically tracking conversions for qualified leads. That means someone sends an inquiry form they fill out all the details. They tell you what they want. The cost for that qualified lead was £4.72, but we only converted 1 in 5. The 1 in 5 people who sent an email converted to a full paying customer. Around Facebook ads as well. Now, this industry is fantastic for Facebook ads, very visual. So you can create a lot of cool content around showing some of the properties, the insides, and the aesthetics. You can put together really good types of like reels for Instagram, and it just looks very visual and attractive and appealing. So if somebody, we use this a lot for remarketing. So if somebody first lands on the website through Google Ads, we'll then remarket them. We'll hit them on Instagram and Facebook with some of the really visual, beautiful ads. And then they'll say, oh, I was on that website the other day. This actually looks fantastic. There's hundreds of comments. So this must be a trustworthy brand. I'm going to go with them. So it's great for that. It's great for building brand recognition. We got a lot of good results on Facebook as well, and fantastic for reach because inevitably with like lots of people commenting and liking, like half the country ends up seeing the ad at some point. Landing pages was definitely a winning factor for this campaign. So for each of those locations, there's like really nice landing pages. You come into one of the cities, let's say, for example, Bath, which is a city in the UK, and you have all the options of really nice properties, and you know that they're welcoming to hen parties, which is the specific group type of group travel. And then on every location page, there is a call to action. The call to actions are actually quite subtle across the website. So you would maybe think the conversion rate wouldn't be as high as it is, but it is. And I'm going to talk about the contact forms now because you'll see here from the contact form, there's 10 questions. Normally, best practice is not to have so many questions, but at the same time, you do want to qualify leads. Ironically, even though we have 10 questions here that we're asking people to fill out in detail, the conversion rate is still incredibly high. The reason for this is because we wanted the sales team to have everything they need to follow up with the lead, and also so that they know 100% that these leads are legitimate. Because if you're messing around, if you're not serious, you're not going to sit and fill out all of this information. So that was the reasoning behind this, and it worked. It worked perfectly. I would strongly recommend something like this. Yeah, just the lead qualification was probably a massive game changer, completely underrated. We were worried at first and apprehensive. It's like, are we asking too many questions? But it worked perfectly. So just a quick summary overview. The cost to acquire a customer was only £23.60, was remember a profit of £500. That's not even including measuring word of mouth or referrals. You can imagine travel agents are actually a particularly good business for word of mouth and referrals, because you can imagine if there's 30 people on a group trip that are using this business Flock and they have a good experience, the next time one of them gets married and they want to do a similar trip, they're going to probably use the same vendor. So it's fantastic for word of mouth. We didn't even measure this in our calculations. For every £1 spent on ads, make a £20 profit. Actually, long term, over a course of many years with word of mouth and referrals, it's probably more £60. So it's just a phenomenal return on ad spend for this business, and an average profit per customer of £500. Yeah, this was really successful. I think having a beautiful and unique web design lead qualification really helped here. And then also just layering on top the Facebook ads alongside Google ads just really helps with that visual and brand trust, because you're not just coming in through Google, you're then a couple of days later seeing it on Instagram and Facebook. And for this particular type of business, that's a huge factor in just building that trust over time.